Legends and Losers is sponsored by Oracle NetSuite. Check out netsuite.com/legends today. On this episode, one of the greatest entrepreneurial stories I've ever heard. How a father and son's love turned into a business, how to transform Down syndrome into a strategic advantage, and why John and Mark Cronin want to spread happiness through crazy socks. All right. Joey Ramone said, hey ho, let's go. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Hello, my legendary friends. This is Christopher Lochhead on one of the most life-affirming episodes of Legends and Losers you can imagine. And a story that is by far one of the most extraordinary, life-affirming, inspiring. This episode's going to make you tear up. I'm telling you right now, entrepreneurial stories you've ever heard with John and Mark Cronin from johnscrazysocks.com. And I'll tell you, and they are not a sponsor of the show in any way. If you need some socks, go to johnscrazysocks.com right now. That's where I get my socks. And I'm going to tell you all about John and Mark in a second. Now, if you're a longtime listener to Legends and Losers, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if you're new, I want to welcome you. We aspire to have real conversations. One of our mantras around here is one real conversation can change your life. And, this conversation with John and Mark is a life changer. It was for me. We aspire to have real dialogues about what it takes to design a legendary business and a legendary life. And what we're really trying to do, we're not like a traditional interview show. So the paradigm on Legends and Losers is not that. It's, in this case, three people sitting down, just like normal people would, to have a conversation about life and business. And we're trying to capture lightning in a bottle, a real conversation that is motivating, inspiring, educational, and hopefully really fun. And we chase some zebras down some rabbit holes every once in a while. Now, as you may know, there are over 500,000 podcasts in the world. And we are incredibly honored that recently bestpodcasts.com named Legends and Losers one of the 101 top podcasts and one of 6 staff picks. So thank you to our good friends at bestpodcast.com. It's an incredible honor. We're just a little more than a year old, and to be placed among the 101 best podcasts in the world and one of the 6 top picks, that's incredible. And so thank you, bestpodcast.com. And I really want to thank you, our regular listeners. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason our show exists. You're the reason our show continues to grow. And I want to thank you very much for your reviews and for your shares, and most importantly, telling people about Legends and Losers. Now, John and Mark Cronin are entrepreneurs you are going to be talking about, I think, probably for a very long time. I first heard of these two from my dad, Bruce. And, my dad is incredibly entrepreneurial. He's been an entrepreneur in his life, and we talk a lot about business and life together. And he shared with me a interview with Mark and John on a Canadian TV station. And when I saw it, I was bawling my eyes out. And the reason is John is about 21 or 22 years old, if my memory is correct. And he has Down syndrome. And after he graduated high school, started a business with his dad, John's Crazy Socks, and they are on fire. And after I saw this interview with them on the news, I was with tears in my eyes. I picked up my phone and I called them, and I got straight through to John and Mark's assistant, and I explained to her who we were. And that I was essentially on my knees begging them to come on Legends and Losers. And here they are. And this conversation is going to blow you away. They also educated me about something I want to tease out with you right off the top, which is in the United States of America, people who are, as Mark calls them, differently abled, which is a term I really love. People who are differently abled can be paid less than minimum wage, and there are disincentives for them to start businesses, and there are disincentives for them to earn too much money, because in many cases, when they do those things, their benefits can be taken away. And Mark and John are lobbying our government to change their ways. And I think this is absolutely insane. We want to do everything to encourage everybody, and especially the differently able, to start businesses, to be productive, to be successful. And, being an entrepreneur is a lot more than just making money, or frankly, having a legendary career is about a lot more than making money. Yes, making money is great. We all want to do that. To quote George W. Bush, we want to put food on our families, and financial freedom is an incredible thing. However, something that gets lost a lot is the self-actualization, the joy that comes from a good, hard day's work, of testing yourself, of pushing yourself, of learning, of being part of a team, of building something, of struggling, doing something together, and then achieving results along the way. And all of the things that come with pushing yourself and challenging yourself in a work environment. And, I think the money provides something even more important, which is a validation for all of us that what we're doing is valuable. And all of those things matter a lot to all of us in our work and entrepreneurial lives. And so why would a lawmaker think for a second that wouldn't be true for people who are differently abled? And I just love that Mark and John are pushing our government to do the right thing and change those arcane laws. And look, we don't really ever get into politics on Legends and Losers. We stay far away from that. But I don't think this is a political issue. And so I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart to support John and Mark in their efforts, and let your congressperson and let your government officials know, to quote the Big Lebowski, this aggression will not stand, man. The differently abled have to have incentives, not disincentives, to work and to start companies and to be able to achieve the incredible things that John is achieving in his career. So let me tell you all about them. Mark is the dad. Mark Cronin's career combines he's really got an eclectic background: public service, technology, and innovation. He's the co-founder with his son of johnscrazysocks.com. He's worked in law. He was the director of client services for a successful law firm. He worked for nearly 2 decades as a COO and chief technology officer in the healthcare field. And he also has an education background, having taught graduate studies at NYU and lectured on management at Columbia School of Public Health. His son, John Lee Cronin, graduated high school in May of 2017, and he's the co-founder with his dad of johnscrazysocks.com. Today, they offer over 1,200 socks. Former U.S. President George H.W. Bush and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau are fans of John's Crazy Socks. They donate 5% of their earnings to the Special Olympics, and they've created a series of awareness and charity socks, and they donate money from each pair of those socks to causes like Down syndrome, autism awareness, the Special Olympics, and breast cancer. So here they are, the incredible John and Mark Cronin on Legends and Losers.
I love working with my dad. I think it's so much. I think it's so much fun working with my. I like working with my father. I think it's fun. It's something like father son do.
It's been a joyous ride. From my perspective, I get to share the day with my son and learn from him. And it's more than just a cliche. Learn from the way John operates and deals with people. I get to see him come up a learning curve. And as you may have already seen here, John is full of surprises. It's like always doing a live show. You never quite know what's going to happen, do you?
Do you like being full of surprises, John?
I do. I like a full surprising. It's not something to do.
And we've been very fortunate to be able to not only grow the business, but connect to a lot of people and now share a lot of experiences as we go out, carry out our mission, but just to be able to do things in a father-son way, or do things together.
Right.
This past I'll give you some examples. This past weekend, we were in Omaha, speaking
Omaha.
Yes, Omaha. That's what you kept saying.
Yeah.
Did you laugh a lot there, John? Is that why you added the ha 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 to Omaha?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I love I said that.
John likes making up words, him and Shakespeare.
I wish.
But we were in Omaha speaking at a Special Olympics event. So it's neat just being able to go out there and seeing John interact with other people.
Right. I did that.
We've been in the news recently because of the connection that John has built with former President Bush. These are things we would not have expected to be doing.
I'm originally a Canadian, guys. I now live in Santa Cruz, California. But I understand you have a special connection as well with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
I'm really good thing about President Trudeau. When I did a connection with him, and he wrote me back a night talking letter he wrote to me, and it was so nice.
It's the same way that we connected with President Bush. John heard that Justin Trudeau, or saw pictures, likes wearing crazy socks. So he said we should send him some socks. And that's exactly what we went and did, and he sent you a great letter back, right?
I did.
So on that one, so last fall, John and I are football fans, and we're watching a game when J.J. Watt got hurt. And John says, we should send him some socks.
Okay.
Hold on. So we did, right? We sent him a box of socks. And I think it was later that day or maybe the next week, Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt. And John said, we should send him some socks, which we did. But I had to stop him and say, if we send socks to every NFL player who gets hurt, we're going to go out of business pretty quickly.
Oh, boy.
That's awesome. And what's the reaction when these NFL superstars get a box full of John's crazy socks?
We didn't hear back from either one of them.
No.
That's okay. They're busy people. But it really is an ethic we have here, and it's inspired by John. The more you can do for others, the better off we are. And we give stuff away all the time.
I'm curious, guys, where the mantra of spreading happiness came about.
Well, that was pretty early on. We were asking ourselves, what is it we're really doing here? What is it we're really trying to do? And in those conversations is where it was John saying, I just want to make people happy. We're spreading happiness.
I did. I want to make the people feel good. Feel good. So, sharing a passion. I want them enthusiastic. Just having fun.
And we revised it a little bit. We got feedback primarily from one advisor that we met through a business accelerator.
Mass Challenge.
Mass Challenge that we participated in last year.
I love Mass Challenge.
And because we used to say spreading happiness through socks. And now we're just spreading happiness. And it's, others will judge us. You get judged on your choices, your actions, your use of time. But it really is something that imbues everything we do. The example I use, you've heard the phrase, the customer is always right. It's not true. Customer is not always right. In fact, there are times when the customer is dead wrong. But when we work with our staff or our customer service people, we point out we're not in the business of being right. We're in the business of spreading happiness. So we're not going to argue with our customers. We're not going to fight. We're going to do whatever it takes to make them happy. And that's a better situation for everybody.
It's so powerful. I I recently heard the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, giving a speech. It might have been a commencement, but I'm not positive. Anyway, somebody was asking him this question: what's the meaning of life? And his answer was, well, if you can, assuming you can take care of your basic needs and you're okay, you're not starving and you're not worried for your safety or et cetera, that there's really only one purpose in life, which is to go out in the world and make things better.
Yeah, it's, I'm forgetting exactly what it was, gave a graduation speech at Rutgers a few years ago, and said we really should change that line, about the pursuit of happiness. That happiness, and we're trying to spread it, it really comes from the pursuit of meaning, from the pursuit of finding something that matters and going out there and making it happen. And that, I think, explains a lot about what we're trying to do and why we get to enjoy it so much, right?
Absolutely.
And John, how do you think about spreading happiness?
I just want to spread happiness. I just love I can do, and cannot do. I'm so lucky because of all the people I had here. I like people.
Well, what do you do that makes people happy?
I want to feel good.
Well, you feel good, but what do? You make a lot of people happy. What do you do?
I did.
I know one thing you do.
Give me what's my point.
Well, during the day, you make a lot of thank you videos, right?
Right. I did.
And you write a lot of thank you notes? Do you like doing that?
I love it. I love it. I just want to say thank you all the people.
Well, every time you're saying thank you to people,
Yeah,
that makes them feel better.
I
And
want
it makes you better too, right?
Absolutely. I feel so much too.
And when you're happy about something, do you keep that to yourself? Or do you share it?
I just want to share it.
And you do that, right?
I did.
And that helps make people happy.
I'm making other people happy.
Yeah.
People have the abilities.
Right?
I tell you this. I've done it. I had done it wrong. Done it wrong. Never stopped me.
Well, and that is something you do, buddy. Is you look at John and you look at what John is doing, and I mean, we know it from the feedback we get. It shows a lot of hope to people.
Right.
It shows a lot of what's possible.
I give it hope.
Right? And you having fun doing it?
I did.
Okay.
I just enjoying myself.
And John, I'm curious. You said you never let Down syndrome stop you.
Right.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit? Could you tell me more about that?
Sure. When I was born down syndrome, I was like strong, powerful. People have Down syndrome, and other people have autism.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever looked at something and said, I can't do that because I have Down syndrome?
Actually, no, because I want to do something fun.
Well, it's whatever you do. You just go and do it, right?
I just want to keep doing it. And I also want to keep up. I can. I want so powerful I can. Strong to be.
It's
Be free.
we get asked this type of question a lot, or I get asked about, helping John overcome obstacles. Sounds simple. John's our third son. He's our youngest son. I don't think of John as my son with Down syndrome. I just think of him as my son. And we really haven't thought about obstacles. It's more, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next?
Right.
And it's figuring things out.
And so I'm very curious to ask both of you where that thinking comes from, because and look, you tell me if I'm interpreting this wrong, but some people could view this in a negative way. Some people could look at things you can't do. Some people could feel like maybe they got dealt a poor hand. Like it would be easy to look at this in a completely different way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so,
Sure. And to me, it's just practical. Okay, this is where we are. What do we do now? I joke sometimes. It's not a joke. You could divide the world, or everybody in the world, into two groups. One group, they're going to look at a situation and say, okay, how do we figure this out to make it happen? And the other group are going to tell you all the reasons why this can't be done. This is where we're at. Okay, let's go do it. It seems very simple, but I don't know if there's another way. I'll give you an example, a small thing. So, what day did we open?
We opened it 7 night on Friday, 2016.
Right. So we had planned we're going to open on this Friday. We're going to open at 10 a.m. And what that means is we're going to take the password off our website. Well, a little after 9 that morning, our website crashed.
At 3.
And so we wound up opening at 3 in the afternoon, right?
It's at 9.
Right. But it was 9 in the morning when the website crashed. And so now what do? Well, we could have walked around, crying and feeling bad and gnashing our teeth. Instead, we just sat down and said, okay, we got to fix this. And now we open later and you just adapt and take it as it comes and figure things out. It doesn't get more high tech than that.
It's so awesome. And John, I'm curious to ask you why you never thought of your situation as negative and why you thought you could just do anything you wanted to do.
You're looking at me.
What? Dad, I know you. The negative.
Why are you such a positive person, John?
I don't know. I think that's asking a fish, why do you swim in water? Seriously, John, I don't know if you fully understand what it means to have Down syndrome because it's just part of who he is. And this is how you go about life.
I did.
Right? And here's an example. So when John was young, I'm talking preschool, speaking came late to him. This is not unusual for people with Down syndrome. And even after he began to speak, John had challenges because his tongue, relative to the size of his mouth, is large. So what'd he do? What'd we do? John learned some sign language. We learned sign language because he couldn't speak, but he could communicate. And we'd get these early assessments from teachers and therapists that were always saying the same thing. John has trouble speaking, but he can get his wants and needs expressed. So from the time you've been a little kid, you've been figuring things out. Pretty neat, huh?
Absolutely.
And John, I'm curious, what is it that made you want to be an entrepreneur?
I just want to be an entrepreneur. I just want to keep doing this because I want to do something fun. I like to be like adventures. I like working with my dad. I like working with other people.
Well, what made you say when you came to me and said, Dad, I want to go into business with you? You could have done other things.
I did that because I want to do something cool with my. I just come up idea I said I want to be with my dad, and I would do something fun, like fun has done you.
He had, you had worked with me before, right? You worked as a mail clerk in another office.
I did.
The way I look at it is, in this case, it gave him the opportunity to do meaningful work that he wasn't necessarily going to get elsewhere.
And the interesting thing about that, Mark and John, isn't that true for so many of us entrepreneurs? I know it was true for me. I started my first company at 18. I got thrown out of school for being stupid. I found out at 21 I was dyslexic. But my options were a manual labor job or start my own company. And so no disrespect to manual labor jobs, but I felt there was more for me. And to your point, Mark, that I couldn't get elsewhere. And I think that's true for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, you have a vision about the way you want to do things. And the only way you get to do it is if you do it yourself. That was certainly true for me in starting this particular business. I had been in a business before the business got shut down. And I'm thinking, okay, what do I do now? And the thought at that point of going to work for somebody else was an anathema. By that point, I knew what I wanted to do. I had my ideas of how I thought you run things and manage things. And so there was no choice, but you got to go figure out how you're going to do this yourself. I just got lucky that I got a partner here who had a brilliant idea to sell socks.
I did. I love that idea.
So how did you come up with the idea, John, that it was going to be Crazy Socks?
At first, I just come up ideas.
Well, to be fair, socks wasn't your first idea, was it?
No, first idea of a fun store.
A fun store. So, right, he had come to me, and we should put this in some context, okay? I was setting up some online businesses. John was in his last year of school.
I did.
So he's looking around, we're looking around, what are you going to do when you're done with school? And that's when you came in and said,
a fun store.
Well, I wanted to go into business with you, right?
I did. I did. I was going to talk to
Then we had to come up with an idea of what you wanted to do. And you kept talking about a fun store.
I think a fun store. I just want to think of do something fun. I just think of like pop art something, like pop music.
Pop music, pop art. We had no idea, did we?
I had no idea.
But you knew you wanted it to be fun, some kind of fun.
Yeah, I do.
What was your second idea?
I love fight. Second idea, a food truck.
A food truck.
A food truck, okay.
Yeah, I come idea from there because I kind of related to you. I was a movie about Chef.
It was a movie a few years ago called Chef, starring John Favreau.
Right. That movie about a father-son business.
His father and son bonding and opening a food truck. So that's how you came up with the food truck idea.
I did.
And that seemed like a lot of fun, right?
Yes, sir.
Except we had a problem.
Yeah.
What was the problem?
We can't cook.
Yeah.
well, there's always that then, isn't there?
Yeah. We got eating.
Yeah, we are good at eating, huh?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm very good at eating, not so much at cooking.
But I put that out there that it's not always the first idea. Not everything is going to work. But then, right before Thanksgiving, you said,
right. I said I want to start socks because I want to start my entire life. I think it's something fun. I think it's colorful. They are. I like to be creative. I should go more at it and then let me be me.
It really is a simple notion. The kid loved wearing crazy socks. And he figured, well,
Right.
if I love them this much, other people would love them too.
I love your dad.
Right? That was pretty neat. So,
and there weren't very many crazy sock companies, were there?
well, yes and no. There are a lot of, there's a lot of activity, shall we say, in the sock space. There's a growing number of really neat sock design shops. There are a lot of now Sock of the Month Club type programs. There weren't many that did exactly what we're doing in the regard of having a one-stop shop for all the socks you can get. But to tell you the truth, when John came with that idea, and he came with more than just, it wasn't just a passing thing, we should sell socks. He already had the name.
I did.
And he had drawings of what he thought a website could look like.
I did. I should come up with an idea that I just want to make something. I want to do it.
And, I explained to folks the step that most people take at that point is they stop. And they say, well, let me work up a business plan. Actually, most people, they stop and do nothing. But let me work up a business plan. Let me do a lot of research, gather a lot of data, do a lot of projections to see whether or not this will work. We didn't do that.
So did you guys hire management consultants to do a study for you? Is that what you did?
No. I think we had a couple beers, or I had a couple beers, and he had some ginger ale to talk about it.
Sure. I took a beer.
Yeah. And we went the other route, kind of the lean startup route. Let's get up a minimally viable product. Let's get something up there. Here's how we're going to know. If people like it, they'll buy it.
Yep.
And that was our approach in getting started.
You just decided to high dive or to cannonball off the high dive into the deep end of the pool and see what happens.
That's about it.
Yeah.
But we didn't go out and study a lot to see, who else was in this space, how big was the market, what could we do.
Mark, can you just move the that water bottle, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And so take me a little bit on the ride, guys, from that opening day where you had that hiccup and then you launched a little late. It's now been, am I doing this right in my head? It's been about 3 years, a little more than that?
No, it's less than a year and a half.
Oh, I'm getting my years confused. So it's a year and a half in. Wow. And so take me a little bit on that year and a half ride.
Well, we start with that first month. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect when we opened at 3:00 that afternoon. You read about some online stores, it takes them a month to get a sale. The only marketing we did was to set up a Facebook page, and we did some decidedly lo-fi videos with John talking about socks, talking about his love for socks, talking about what would be in his store. You came up with a catchphrase, right?
I did.
What was it?
Socks, socks, more socks.
He'd tell people, come to johnscrazySocks.com, and here's what you're going to find. Socks, socks, and more socks.
What I love about that, John, as a 3-time chief marketing officer of public companies, is the clarity and precision of that slogan.
Right. He's a natural.
No, nobody could be confused, John, what you're talking about when you say socks, 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 right?
It's so even the first day, we got a flood of orders, or what felt like a flood of orders. They were all local. We're on Long Island in New York. We had temporary office space in Huntington Village, and it made sense. There were people that knew John through high school. So we decided we wanted to make it special, and we'd do home deliveries. We got some red boxes. We put the socks in the boxes, looked at them and said, this needs something else. Went across the street to the grocery store, got bags of Hershey's Kisses, threw them in. John wrote thank you notes, and we drove around and delivered the boxes of socks. This turned out to be a really good move because the customers loved it, right? They liked seeing you show up at the door.
I was thinking.
And what'd they do? When you showed up with the box of socks, what'd they do?
I'm making deliveries.
When you made the delivery, what'd they do?
Take a picture.
They were taking pictures. They took pictures with John and of the socks.
And did
Posted it on social media.
Did you get hugs too, John? Did people want to hug you when they took photos with you?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So word began to spread. So that first month was important because we learned a lot of things. There were, bumps along the ride. Those first 2 days, we sold so many socks, we almost sold out of everything. So that Saturday night, I drove to every Kmart in Suffolk County, buying as many Christmas socks as I could, just so we could have some inventory to sell. But we learned people want to buy socks. We learned that people wanted to buy socks from John, right?
Right.
And that this old man and this young man, we could do this.
Right, Dad.
So that's when we set about growing the business. And over the next, I'd say 6 to 8 months, we really learned more of who we were and what we could do. I talk about the 4 pillars that we built the business on. The first and the most important is just showing what's possible. Letting people know, you give someone a chance, look what can happen. And we focus on that with people with differing abilities, or people with intellectual disabilities. So, John, here, you're the face of the company.
I am.
Right? Your official title is Chief Happiness Officer.
Right.
And how do you like being an icon for a whole company, John?
I like it a lot.
Are you worried about being too big of a celebrity? Because you're getting fairly well known now.
Do you like it when people stop you and talk to you?
I do. I like that a lot.
It's John does get recognized a lot now when we go out. It is a fair statement to say he is completely unaffected. In fact, you like it so much, he's always thanking people. It's not a bother, it's something he likes doing. But, and that's just the start of it, right? We hire people with disabilities or with differing abilities. We create content, so we do all these videos. We just want to show the world, here's what's possible. This is what people can do. We do school tours. So in a typical week, we'll have 3 to 6 school tours come in. We have 6 school work groups that come in here. That's why we take on speaking engagements. Today, after this podcast, I don't think anybody is going to think of Down syndrome in the same way. After you hear John talk and hear what John's doing, you're going to think differently. And that's what we want to do.
Well, and also, Mark, I also want to say to you, I think you are influencing how adults deal with children with these kinds of situations, because there's no question even before I met you, as soon as I saw you guys, that you must be the kind of parent who's wired in a way that is extraordinary, and the rest of your family must be incredibly supportive and enabling of what's possible, to your point, as opposed to dwelling on things that might not be possible. And so I think you as well, and that's why it's cool that it's both of you. It's you as well are shining a light on, if you're willing to look at the assets. And I'm sure there are things that have to be done to diminish liabilities, but if you're willing to focus and magnify and amplify the assets, look at what's possible.
Right.
You're showing that as a parent.
Yeah, I'm always cautious of people complimenting the parent thing, because I'll put my 2 older sons on, and they'll have some differing opinions at times. But look,
I didn't say you were Mother Teresa.
So our eldest son, Pat, is John's brother Patrick, who's 28. He's got a day job, which is pretty neat. He trains people on how to get, he trains people on how to enroll people in healthcare to get access to healthcare. But then at night he comes out as a comedian, and he does improv comedy. I watch with such great admiration of what he's doing. He's 28 years old. He works really hard at this. He spends his weekends, he spends his nights. He makes sure his day job is structured in a way to support this. It's obviously not because it's a lucrative career. It's because of something he loves and he gets to go doing. And all you can do is cheer and say, great, and go. You know, and I watched my middle son, James, who really struggled a lot. He struggles with depression and anxiety. He's had some drug issues. He's 25, and I have such admiration for him. He's now found traction. He's found something he loves. He cooks. He's making something of himself. He's now been promoted to the kitchen manager at a restaurant where he's working. As a parent, this parenting stuff is very humbling. There's so much you want to do for your kids, and there's so little you can. You know, you want to share stuff. They got to figure stuff out. And if we can be there just to promote that independence, to be there, let them know you're going to fall down sometimes, and that's okay, then we get to be lucky and we get to witness it all.
Well, it's very inspiring, Mark. Now, John, I've also got to ask you, you do a lot of the creative things and a lot of the drawings. I saw your superhero socks recently. Could you tell me about how you come up with your creativity and your sock designs?
Where did you get the idea for the superhero socks? When you started drawing those?
I drew it.
I know you drew it. It's just like asking Ted Williams, how did he hit 400?
I got a little bit lost.
You got lost? That's okay. Just what we wanted to know is, where did the idea come for the superhero socks? When you started drawing those pictures, where did you take inspiration from?
I think I created it from.
Well, was it from your own life? Was it from the movies? Did you get some ideas from? Because I think you got some from the movies, right? Some of the ideas.
I subbed a movie. Some that I wear.
Some of the stuff you were wearing.
I remember the holiday parade.
Oh, you had some costumes when you were growing up, and now you had that in mind.
No. I wanted to grow up. So for the sports routine.
Oh, you guys wore superhero costumes?
Yeah, do you remember?
I remember.
I was red.
Right? And that's why the first one you drew was red?
Yeah, because I drew red. I tried to make it incredible.
The way you felt when you were wearing it. Pretty cool.
I love being made incredible. But I made the second one.
And then, you changed the colors, right?
I did.
Why did you change the colors?
Because I changed color blue and yellow. Because blue and yellow are down to some color.
Right. Blue and yellow are Down syndrome color.
Oh, that's cool. They also go blue, at least the blue and yellow that you use, John, seem to go really well together.
You like that, huh?
Right.
That's pretty good. Yeah, you've designed a couple socks now. You designed the superhero sock.
I did.
And the first Down syndrome sock. And the polar plunge sock.
Right.
Pretty neat.
And I'm also curious, guys, what's your vision for the future of the business? Where do you see John's Crazy Socks over the next decade or so?
We don't really do that long range planning. It's driving more of what we're already doing. One thing is we're recognizing that we're as much a content company as we are a retail business. So we're going to expand on the videos we do. We're going to create a John's Crazy Socks Network that's going to put on regular shows on the internet, hosted by or featuring people with differing abilities. We have one overriding theme, no broccoli, nothing that someone's saying, well, this is good for you. So it'll be things like, and we already did this past fall. John and I had a football pick show. We were consistently wrong, but we had fun doing it. We have a guy here, Riley, who loves to cook. So we think we're going to have a Riley cooking show. We'll do things like that. That's, part of...
So you're a media company.
To a degree, we are.
Yeah.
Just show what's possible out there. We now do custom socks. Today, I don't know if we're allowed to take the wraps off it, but we're working with a pretty major tech company, which is making a video about us and wants to do some joint work with us. And today placed an order for 40,000 custom socks they want to give out to their partners.
That's great.
Which is good. We have a long ways to go. We're just starting out. As long as we stay true to the values we have, we'll be in good shape.
Well, the both of you and what you've done so far is incredible and amazingly inspiring. John, Mark, is there anything else before we wrap?
Well, we can, we talk about the giving back we do, which is important. I don't think it's enough anymore to just sell stuff. We're a different type of business. We're a social enterprise. So you have a social mission and a retail mission, and they're indivisible. So it's that inspiration and hope. It's giving back, but you also got to run a great business. And we're off competing with Walmart and Amazon. So we got to have great selection, choice, and service. So here we are. We've been very fortunate. We've been able to create 33 jobs. 15 of those are held by people with different abilities. But it leads to great work, great morale, high productivity. So if you place an order today, it's going out the same day. We get an order by 3 o'clock, it's going out the same day, which makes our customers really happy. And that's what we got to be able to grow on. You got to be able to do, you got to have the goods. You can't just talk about it.
And Mark, maybe open that up a little bit. What's it like to have, you said you had really high productivity, and I think it would be very easy for people to assume that might not be true given the high percentage of your employees who are differently abled. And so could you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Much of what we're doing here is we're running a pick and pack warehouse. We call our pickers sock wranglers. Our packers are happiness packers. We draw from 3 labor pools. One are people with disabilities or differing abilities. The second are moms who want to work part-time. They want to put their kids on the bus in the morning, pick the kid up in the afternoon. And the third are general laborers. We start at $12 an hour. There are people out there just looking for a $12 an hour job. Hands down, our best labor pool are the differing able. It's not altruism that has us hiring them. It's just good business. They want to show up. They want to be here. They're excited to work. They love coming to work. They're absolutely committed. And all we had to do was make sure we're matching the jobs to their skills. So, let me describe our hiring process for our sock wranglers. You come in, you meet with John and me. We want you to know the story. We want you to know our values, because culture matters. Then you shadow a current sock wrangler to learn the job. When you're ready, you pull some orders by yourself. And then when you're ready, you got to pass the test. And the test is you got to pull 5 orders in 30 minutes or less, and you got to be accurate. We don't pay you till you pass the test. You can take as long as you'd like to pass that test. We have some people who after an hour say, I'm ready to go. We have some people, they take 3 weeks. That's okay. Learn at your own pace. You have to pass that test. We don't have make work jobs. We don't give it out. We don't just give things away. Everybody earns the spot here. And we match the spot, the test, to exactly what you're going to do. So I'm not looking at your resume, guessing how will this person do on the job. We're going to know. And so when these folks show up, they know what they're doing, and they're fiercely committed. It makes it such a better place to work. This unified workplace we have, where there's no segregation, everybody's working side by side. It makes morale is higher, productivity is high, retention is sky high. It's what we want people to come and see.
Yeah. John, when you're interviewing somebody, what is it you look for in somebody to come join the company?
What do you like to see in your fellow employees?
I like employees like people have disabilities, employees.
We want people that want to be here. We want people that want to be here, then they have to show us they can do the job. Those are two pretty basic ingredients.
Now, as I was doing some of my homework on the two of you, you brought up to light something I didn't know, which is it is legal in the United States of America to pay differently abled people below minimum wage. Did I hear you guys say that right?
Yes, in an Orwellian take on language, the Fair Labor Act, Section 14C, allows employers to get certified so they can pay people with differing abilities or with disabilities less than minimum wage. 400,000 people paid that way in the country today, and it's outrageous. In fact, we're going to be testifying before Congress next week on this matter. We're going to be testifying before the House Committee on Small Business, talking about hiring people with differing abilities and some of the legal changes that have to be made to make that possible. Most of our workers with differing abilities have to work part-time, because if they work too many hours, they lose their benefits, which is a terrible choice. John doesn't get any benefits. He's entitled to them and may need them someday. But he would have to choose between ownership in his own company or getting his benefits. And this is backwards. This is wrong.
This is criminal. I had no idea about any of this. There is therefore a disincentive for John to be an entrepreneur, to be creative, to create jobs, to do something legendary in his life, and to create a great business. He's got an actual legal disincentive. And then people who are differently enabled have a disincentive to go to work and to do something incredible with themselves if that's what they want to go do.
Right.
That's absolute insanity. When are we going to get this changed, Mark?
It's a tough battle. It's something that the National Down Syndrome Society refers to as law syndrome. Down syndrome doesn't hold me back. Law syndrome does.
Right.
The laws and regulations that limit what people can do. It's outrageous.
And John, what do you think about these laws?
What do you think about law syndrome? What do you think about laws that want to prevent you from working?
Laws,
I've heard you down in Washington pretty vehement about how this holds you back and you don't want it.
Laws, it does hold me back. I said that because I was showing possible. I want showing strong, cadently, like down the room, never me back.
Right. Well, what would you think if we paid some of your colleagues less money because they had a disability?
Is that true?
I know it's not true, but it would be wrong, right?
I can't be wrong by that.
It's these are the two things that, two of the things that really drive us in business. One is showing people what's possible, and two, showing the value of a social enterprise.
Yeah.
Where you run a business that has a twin mission, where a social mission and a business mission, where it's not enough to just sell stuff. But you got to have meaning and purpose, and you got to give back.
Well, and on this one, Mark, you're shining a light on something that I had no idea about. And I've been in business for over 30 years. I'd never heard this at all. And I have people who are differently abled in my life. And, I have a list of diagnosed things that could choke a horse myself. But I had no idea. And so it's awesome that you're shining a light on that. And we got to write our Congress people and tell them NFW.
Yeah, it's and I think things. I'm optimistic that things are going to change out of necessity. We don't always. It's not always visible today, but we have a growing shortage of labor. We have a growing shortage of workers in the country, and as baby boomers retire, there's not enough people to replace them. And yet, here is this population that is ready, able, and willing to work, and they have an 80% unemployment rate. It's outrageous. And it's just a matter of fitting task to skill set. So that's why I say it's not altruism, it's just good business.
Well, and I also found it fascinating, and it will stick in my head for a long time, Mark, that you give the person in that beginning stage as much time as they need to master the task.
Yeah, we evolved into doing that. I'm concerned, you don't want somebody here a long time who's not getting paid. We don't want to take advantage of somebody. But let people learn at their own pace so they get to the point where they can do the job.
Yeah.
It works well for us.
Well, I have a feeling that you two are so compelling, our lawmakers are going to have to listen. Anything else before we wrap, gentlemen?
Well, you got to give a plug.
Where do people go, John? If people want to buy socks, what should they do?
I'm the sockreadout.com.
And what are they going to find there?
Socks on more socks.
Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you both enough. To me, the two of you represent everything that is great about entrepreneurship.
Right.
And your mission to spread happiness, to show what's possible, and to allow people to have legendary crazy socks on their feet every day. It's incredibly inspiring. I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me today, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's part of what we want to do is we want to talk and let people know about what we're doing here. We're so fortunate.
Well, bless you both. You guys are incredible. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Okay. Well, take care.
You too.
Bye.
Whoo! Can't believe it. Can't believe it. The word inspiring is not a big enough word. The term life affirming is not a big enough term. The term transformation is not a big enough term. If you're not fired up after that dialogue, I know you are. I was going to say I give up, but I don't give up, but I know you are. So if you know somebody who would be incredibly motivated and excited to hear this conversation with John and Mark, why not share it with them over email right now? And if you're listening to Legends and Losers on your smartphone, we would love you just a little bit extra if you spread the word about John's crazy socks on social media immediately. So why not go ahead and share this episode of Legends and Losers right now? Now, it's grow time. and NetSuite wants to help you master your growth. Check out netsuite.com/legends. NetSuite is the platform for growth for incredible startups as well as nonprofits. Let me tell you about a nonprofit they help that is very, very cool, and I got to see them at Sweet World not long ago. It's an outfit called alexslemonade.org. All one word if you want to check them out on the internet. And they are a national childhood cancer foundation. And alexslemonade.org relies on NetSuite as their business management platform to handle every aspect of the business. And you can too. NetSuite empowers you to grow from the garage to the IPO and beyond. And imagine you can run your business from your smartphone with some awesome, easy-to-use dashboards that allow you to stay on top of sales, finance, accounting, your orders, HR, and everything else in your business. Thousands of the best-known brands and fastest-growing companies use NetSuite to manage their growth, and it's available to you now. And NetSuite is a lot more cost-effective than you might think. So NetSuite is offering a 60-minute business growth review with an expert in your industry for listeners of Legends and Losers. So check out netsuite.com/legends, and you'll be able to set up a time with a NetSuite growth expert in your industry to talk about barriers and opportunities to turbocharge your growth. Check out netsuite.com/legends. And if you're a regular listener, you've also been hearing the incredible Heather Clancy and I are hard at work at finishing our new book called Niche Down. And we have a special offer for you. As you know, the launch of these things is incredibly important. And we're wondering, do you want to be part of our street team to help us successfully launch Niche Down? So here's what we're suggesting. We would love to send you the current draft of the first chapter of Niche Down. You can give us some feedback on the book. And what we're hoping as well is if we do that, that you would be willing to write us a review on Amazon when the book comes out live. So if you're willing to do that, send email to blackhole@legendsandlosers.com. Put in the subject line, Niche Down. And we will email you free of charge. Or as the French say, gratuit, the first chapter of Niche Down. And what we ask in return, and we're not going to monitor you, but we're just hoping that on a handshake and a sort of a gentleman and gentlewoman's agreement that when the book comes out, you'd be willing to give us a review on Amazon. So send email to blackhole@legendsandlosers.com, subject Niche Down, and we will send you the current draft of Chapter 1 of Heather Clancy's book and mine, Niche Down. I'd also like to suggest you check out the new place on the internet for legendary entrepreneurs. It's called growwire.com. It's what legendary entrepreneurs read. There's incredible content up there. Heather Clancy and I helped write the manifesto for growthwire.com. There's a new internet TV show called The Grow Show that is a blast. And there's a new podcast called Grow Wire. And I'm happy to announce that I'm one of the first guests on the Grow Wire podcast. And Heather and I have been writing for growwire.com. You'll see a number of articles from the two of us, a couple I wrote on my own, and so forth. So also encourage you to check out growwire.com today. All right. We would like to thank our good friends at John's Crazy Socks, spreading happiness at johnscrazysocks.com. Why not buy 10,000 pairs of socks today? Our good friends at Equity Directory, the invite-only network for startup talent willing to exchange equity for their work. If you're in the startup ecosystem, check out equitydirectory.com. HarperCollins Instant Classic Play Bigger, How Pirates, Dreamers, and Innovators Create and Dominate Markets. Our good friends at Positive Marketing, PR, Marketing, and Category Design in London, Europe, and beyond. Check out positivemarketing.com. Verve Coffee Roasters, the official coffee of Legends and Losers. Born right here in beautiful Santa Cruz, this is the way West Coast artisan coffee should taste. Check out vervecoffee.com. Our friend and multi-time guest, Dushka Zapata's best-selling book, How to Be Ferociously Happy, and Other Essays. our good friends at 1185 Design. There is a reason the greatest companies in Silicon Valley get their brands designed at 1185. Check out 1185.com today. Secondflightconsultancy.com. This is Nick Cullen's business. He's been on Legends and Losers. His episode is one of the most real, authentic episodes we've ever put out. And Nick is a genius in the area of growth hacking. He and his team will growth hack your business to new heights. Check out secondflightconsultancy.com. A podcast we love, Stop Riding the Pine, with the nicest man in podcasting, Jamie J. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. Stop Riding the Pine. Another podcast we love with Maddie A., our friend and guest on episode 46, The Millionaire Mindcast. This is the podcast focused on the mindset, money, and motivation to be legendary. Check out Maddie A.'s podcast, Millionaire Mindcast. And again, growthwire.com and our good friends at kiva.org. Microfinance loans that make a difference in all around the world. If you want to help small entrepreneurs with a microfinance loan, go to kiva.org. All right. Today's information is provided to you solely for informational purposes, and we must remind you that this oddcast is a sole property of the Legends and Losers Oddcast Network, and we would love you just a little bit if you shared the shit out of it. Now, all rights do remain disturbed. Legends and Losers is not for people who like boring interview shows. In the case of interview shows, take 2 Legends and Losers and tweet us in the morning. We must warn you that this oddcast is highly flammable. Be nice to your sister. Don't forget, buy some crazy socks. Support your local entrepreneurs. Tell 2 people you love about 2 podcasts you love. And if you have a second, show them how to subscribe to those podcasts on their smartphone. Don't be lame. Get out of the passing lane. Don't forget, Johnny Cash was right. David Lee Roth said, I get up and nothing gets me down. You got it tough? Well, I've seen the toughest around. And I know, baby, just how you feel. You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real. Remember, only buy pasture-raised, free-range eggs. Thank you, Dandy Candy. Love you, Mom and Dad. And hey, Colin, this oddcast really ties the room together, doesn't it? Today, our deepest apologies go out to Marcus Rust, co-owner and CEO of Rose Acre Farms. Hey, Marcus, sorry, we just ran out of time for you. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for investing your life with us. We deeply appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Legends and Losers.